Hello again. We are introducing the letter E in today's lesson, so get your pen or pencil ready and place it on our imaginary writing line. And then we slope up. Slope up. Slope up. This time we will add a curl back. Slope up and curl back. Slope up and curl back. And at this stage, I always think they look a little bit like candy canes. So we're going to add the next part of our letter E, so they look more like a letter E. Slope up, curl back, and carry on going down to the writing line and add an exit stroke. Slope up, curl back, carry on going till the writing line and add an exit stroke. Now you'll find when you write it that it depends on the size of your curl back to give you the gap in the middle. If you have a big curl back, the space in the middle of the letter is big. If you have a smaller curl back, the space in the middle is smaller. And that is entirely up to you. Let's have a look at a printed letter E because it is a slightly different shape. We start with a straight line in the middle of the letter, curl back and add a curl under. Straight line, curl back and add a curl under. Straight line, curl back and add a curl under. A very different shape. And you'll see later how remembering this shape comes in handy for joining to some letters. Let's try on handwriting paper. We start on the writing line, we slope up, curl back and curl down to the writing line before we add this little exit stroke, ready to join to the next letter. And our capital E is very different. It's a straight line down and then across. Then we lift the pen for a line across in the middle. And we lift the pen again for a line across at the top. So the letter E is written with 3 lines on these 3 lines on a handwriting page. Very different. Let's have a practice of the lowercase or little letter. On the writing line, curl back, carry on the curl until you get to the writing line again. And again. And again. Slope up, curl back, curl round to the writing line, and then add an exit stroke. And this time we are joining some together. Just practicing that movement until we can get it looking just right. Here we have a slightly larger space in the middle of the letter, and on these letters that space is a little bit narrower, and it all depends on the size of your slope back. If it's just tiny, like it is here, the space in the middle is smaller. The thing we have to be careful about is that it looks different from the letter I. But because we start with a slope, then that's how we check it doesn't end up being the letter I. Let's have a go at some capital letter E's with our straight line down and then across 3 times. Straight line down, across 1, 2, 3. Straight line down, 1, 2, 3. And when we use it at the beginning of a word, the beginning of a sentence, and we need a capital letter, well, it's exactly the same. And then we leave a space before we add the other letters. Here we've written the word end, and it looks very different when we write it with a lowercase letter e. So we have 2 different shapes to think about in this lesson. And there is our printed letter E. And for both of them, whether it's a cursive letter E or a printed letter E, we need to think about the sound E. When we hear E, we write the letter E, either in cursive, printed, or as a capital. We are listening for E. Now the letter E has a lot of different jobs, and there is another sound that we would listen for to use it. But we'll be covering that in other lessons. For now, we are just thinking about E. And next we're going to look at what you do if you're joining the letter E to a top joiner, like the letter O. We write our letter O and then our exit stroke dips down. And you can see here that dip down and then round to curl back is very similar to printing the letter E. So you might like to practice that, because there are 3 more top joining letters to come. Our letter O and the exit slope dips down to join the letter E. Letter O and the exit stroke dips down a wee bit to complete the letter E. And here we're just going to try joining it to 2 more letters. First of all, we have the word pen. So how do we join the letter P? Well, it comes from the bottom. Slope up, curl back and round. So this join is one that you're used to, and so is this one. And the word set, the S, joins in just the same way from the bottom. Then the E joins to the T in a way that you are used to. So that explains why, when we're joining the letters in a word, the letter shape is a little bit different. We'll have lots of practice. And maybe, to begin with, you'd like to go on a sound search. See how many words you can find where you hear eh at the beginning, or maybe somewhere in the middle of a word. Thank you for joining me.